Happy New Year and welcome to the Bomb Shelter.
Hello.
Hello, I am your host for this episode, Jay McDowell. And with me is my co-host, Kevin Schumm.
Hello.
And in case you didn't figure it out yet, our movie this time is the 1983 classic, You're the Hunter from the Future.
Someplace in this world we can live in peace with our people.
He is from a future world, trapped in another time, searching for his past. A hunter of incredible power and strength. In his quest for his origin, he and the woman he loves must fight hostile tribes, battle deadly beasts, and try to survive the violent forces of a newly born Earth. He is the warrior known as Yor. His medallion holds the key to his destiny. His courage makes him master of a world in chaos. His enemy uses the weapons of tomorrow to enslave a primitive planet. But his passion for freedom will set his people free. You're the hunter from the future.
And there you have the trailer for Your Hunter from the Future, again from 1983. This masterpiece was directed by Antonio Margheriti. He's done lots of Italian horror movies, apparently.
Yeah, I went through the list. I'm typically the one who kind of compiles our cheat sheet that we reference during these. Yeah. And I went through, I don't think I had seen any of his movies, but they all looked like horror movies from Italy. So
okay, well,
that's
there
my
you go. That should be enough.
Yeah.
The cast consists of course, our star, Red Brown, starring as Yor.
Yeah.
This man has been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite bad movie actors.
Yeah, and I think he's one of those you don't really think of him as being a bad movie, having a huge bad movie voir, but you look at his IMDb and you realize how wrong you are. Yeah. Because he has, among other things, the classics.
Yeah, that was actually his first movie.
Movie.
That's 7S is the Snake Man movie.
Yes. The Captain America TV movies from the 70s, which were atrocious. A lot of TV shows where he did basically just one episode.
They're like one episode. It's how about this Red Brown guy? Let's bring him in. They're like after one episode, like
no, let's not bring him back.
No thanks. He
was on shows like Kojak, Emergency, $6 Million Man, Rockford Files. He even made it onto Happy Days and Fantasy Island.
Chips,
Three's Company, Chips, Bosom Buddies. He did do apparently one movie that I guess wasn't utter crap, and that was Uncommon Valor.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but I do remember when it came out, it wasn't reviled or anything.
Yeah.
So
I actually haven't seen it either. I just know it's not unlike everything else he's been in. Yeah, it's not.
Or Space Mutiny.
Yeah.
We have the eventual love interest, Kala, who was portrayed by Corinne Cleary. There's a little accent over the E in her name, so
I know even less how to pronounce her name than I already thought I did.
And it doesn't look like an Italian name or a French name. It just, we don't know. Yeah. She was her big other role was in Moonraker, but
in my world, that was the only other thing I really recognized. And I thought, well, I got to put something.
I wonder what she played in. Was she any big part? She wasn't a Bond girl.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Then we have the Overlord, our eventual bad guy that we finally get to, 3/4 away into the movie, played by John Steiner, who we have a lot of question marks after.
That means I didn't really recognize much. There is one thing he's in, but I didn't write it down. He's in a movie by Dario Argento, who is a director I actually like.
Oh, okay. Italian.
Called Tenebrae. But he's got sort of a part where you don't really see him much, so that's why I didn't really recognize the guy.
And I looked through the list, too, for he and the other two people I'm going to mention, and I didn't see anything I recognized from any of them.
I mean, we could always we could go down Internet Movie Database and just list them and say them, but it doesn't mean much if I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. We usually like to list the movies that we've actually heard of or shows we've seen.
Which with Red Brown was like, how many of these? When should I stop naming?
We had
because I've seen everything.
We had to cut the list at some point. Okay, going on, we have Anna. She eventually shows up in the movie also.
Yeah.
Played by French actress Carol Andrade.
Yeah.
And she was in a whole bunch of stuff we never didn't recognize either.
Yep.
And Pag, played by Luciano Pigozzi.
Yeah.
Pigozzi. Although in this movie he goes by the name Alan Collins.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of these movies that were Italian-based movies, the actors would use American-sounding names.
Yeah.
And looking at his, I didn't recognize any of the movies, even though he's that guy. We both were saying
where have I seen
him?
that guy?
Yeah. And he looks a lot like, and you should have done a little bit of research.
Yeah.
Found out the guy's name, but there's an American actor, Eli Wallach.
Maybe, yeah.
I think it's Eli Wallach, and he has the two wonky eyes, and he always plays like
spaghetti westerns.
Yeah,
right?
And he looked a lot like him. That's who I thought it was, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
But he has done quite a few movies as Alan Collins.
Collins, yeah. Actually, a lot of the people in this had, well, not John Steiner. That's a pretty English sounding.
Yeah.
But a lot of the people in this movie had, listed as some other name that was nothing like their actual name.
Well, and the thing that I found interesting too was Reb Brown is actually in two other movies at least with with Luciano Pigozzi. Pag.
That's his name.
Yeah, there we go. We're just going with Pag. He was in a couple of movies with him, made the same kind of Italian, big budget movies.
Yeah.
This movie was it's an Italian production, but it was filmed in Turkey, which I'm pretty sure we've all seen some of the locations.
Yeah.
They looked familiar, but
it's that location.
Yeah. It's not a Vasquez Rocks or anything, but there's a lot.
You think like that's not a set. I know that's not a set, and I know I've seen that before, and I haven't traveled there. So.
If you watch enough post-apocalyptic movies and barbarian movies, you've probably seen a lot of those rock formations. Yeah. It was originally based, the movie itself, not the location. The movie was originally based on an Argentinian comic book called Yor that was created in 1974.
Yeah. And I didn't do a lot of research to find out, was that a huge hit in Argentina, or was it just...
I had never heard of it because
I never heard of it until
Argentinian
I read that.
comic books. So.
But I was just like, there's only so much... If you over-research these things, they become not fun because then you're just quoting things you learned reading online. So at some point I was like, okay, it's an Argentinian comic book, popular enough for someone to make a movie off of it. That's good enough for me.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it was influenced by Conan the Barbarian in 1982 and Star Wars, which when you watch it, you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably, don't quote me on this, I would think somebody said, hey, I really want to make a movie that's like Conan and Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I saw this comic book called Yor. And it's right up our alley.
We could put all that together.
Yeah, and they did it very poorly.
And my comment earlier was, maybe someone's. This is all me, just my imagination. This isn't real, but my imagination tells me like, well, Conan was a popular movie, and Star Wars was a really popular movie. If you put those things together, you're going to get a really, really, really popular movie. Like Conan plus Star Wars equals.
You'll get all the barbarian fans.
But instead, they didn't realize it was actually Star Wars minus Conan, which equals like not very much. So anyway, it didn't work out.
This movie, watching it, it looks like I know you had action figures and stuff when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And and you would take your Star Wars and your G.I. Joe and your He-Man.
Yeah.
And just put them all in the same universe. And
yeah. So, if you had some story where you're like, oh, you know what? Star Wars, but let's have some cavemen. So like, okay, let me get that guy.
Yeah. I would always use. Remember the G.I. Joe, one of the G.I. Joe first movies, quote unquote movies.
Yeah.
And Cobra Commander had Duke in the arena of sport, and he fought the big giant. Yeah. I did that, but I always used He-Man.
Yeah.
And
that's as close as you could get back.
Yeah. And so there was He-Man and a little G.I. Joe, and they'd fight. So that's basically what this movie looks like. It's like somebody took all their toy action figures, and somebody made a movie about what they did.
And without spoiling what we're going to talk about later, literally sometimes they took their toys.
There are literally some action figures.
I think there's some action figures in this movie, but we'll talk about that when we get to that.
So the general description of the movie that we found online is, and wow, this is really, really not the movie I watched.
Yeah.
A warrior seeks his true origins in a seemingly prehistoric wasteland.
Which I think it was. I mean, it may not actually be prehistoric, but what makes it not prehistoric? It wasn't really our world anyway, was it? Or
that I never quite understood, because there was the apparently the vicious meat-eating triceratops.
Yeah.
And you had all these cavemen and stuff, but then as we find out later, while not necessarily from the future, he's from a technologically advanced civilization that nuked itself.
Yeah.
So I
barely even knew that.
And the word Earth is mentioned, but not as in on our planet Earth.
Yeah.
It's for whatever reason, because it never comes into play, Yor asks Pag where the steam is coming from this vent, and they don't even show it.
Yeah.
They're just walking around, and they go,
it's like over there, not in anything you can see.
Over there behind the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Pag goes, well, there's fissures deep within the earth that, it's very hot and the steam comes out.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily within the capital E Earth.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know. It's hard, and it's not like other, because I would actually put this in a post-apocalyptic movie category, and it's not like in most of those where they're still riding motorcycles and they're still driving, cars that just have a bunch of greelies stuck to them.
Yeah.
So I want to say it is Earth, but there's no real hard facts about it.
You couldn't really argue that.
So
this is one of those ones, though, to the first example that comes to mind is the movie Star Crash, where even though I've seen it several times, and I've read plot descriptions online, multiple, I still couldn't really.
Be hard for us to tell somebody.
Yeah, here we are, 10 minutes after we just finished watching it, and if you ask me, if you can't tell me what that movie is about, you're gonna die, and I would probably just die. I'm not even gonna try. Sorry.
Well, the first half hour at least of the movie, I didn't look at my watch or anything, but about the first half hour is just Monday for Yor.
Yeah, is there any sense of the movie starts out with him basically coming out of a cave, I think, and he just starts running down a hill and then
smiling.
He's so happy he's got a little hatchet
axe
thing in his hand. And you're thinking not that they need to tell you everything, but is he going somewhere? Is he?
Yeah, we're not given any.
Yeah.
Because he runs into Kala's tribe.
Yeah.
And he rescues her and Pag, and then he's kind of accepted into their tribe, kind of thing. And then the first round of bad guys, which are a bunch of other cavemen, hairy,
a little bit less
cavemen.
Developed or something like that.
Yeah, but you don't. He doesn't come out and go, well, today I'm going to go out and I better watch out for those bad guy cavemen. It's just, oh, it's a lovely day today. I think I'll go for a jog.
Yeah.
And he goes on a jog.
And you get the idea that it's not like he's, you don't see him jogging and then camping and then jogging and then camping. It's like these people that he meets have to be pretty close to where he lives, I think. And yet he's never met them before.
Yeah, because he's way out in the desert, and then they're in the Fertile Valley, as they called it. And he's never seen him, but he doesn't act like he's never seen another human.
Yeah.
Because he certainly knows what to do with Kala when he meets her.
Yeah, and you don't get a real sense of when he left the cave, did he leave some of his friends or family there? Nothing's really, not that it has to be explained.
There's no quest.
Yeah.
Really throughout any of the movie, there's really no quest.
Which you would think, not to give unrealistic expectations, but you'd think at least even if he doesn't get to what his original quest was, you'd at least think you'd start off with Yor is trying to get somewhere to get something or to help somebody, and this is what happened along the way.
Yeah.
But there's none of that. It's just he's just running.
When you think about Conan the Barbarian, which this was kind of pulled, cribbed from a little bit. You start out with the story of how Conan became Conan. His family is annihilated by these bad guys. He's thrown into a mill, and he's the last one to survive. Pushing the grindstone around. Then he becomes a basically a gladiator fighter, and so you kind of get that backstory, and then it's like, okay, and now boom, here's Conan.
Yeah,
and we start off.
Yeah,
but on this one, it's just boom, I'm your.
Yeah, and even though you kind of part of the story is him finding out who he really is, there could at least be this is what he thought growing up type of thing, like a little origin story, even if it's not the complete origin.
Because you don't even really get the, well, who are you? I don't know.
Yeah.
I've just always been, it's like, okay, because we find out later on, his parents were killed, and he was a little boy.
Yeah.
So how did he survive?
Yeah. Where has he been? I mean, how old is he in this movie? In his 20s?
Probably, 20s, 30, late 20s.
Yeah.
And so
what's been going on?
Yeah. So who did he leave at the cave that's like, your destiny is to
do this and this, and there he goes.
Yeah.
Just a little bit at the beginning would have made a little more sense.
Yeah. It's pretty much like, gotta go run and get some milk.
Yeah.
So, this is you're going to the grocery store.
But then again, I'm complaining about this, and yet this is an extremely entertaining movie.
It was a fun movie.
That I could easily, even, we were just joking. This is, by the way, this is on Blu-ray, so it looks as good as it can look. Yeah. But not the trailer, but kind of like the credits as it's waiting for you to select, do you want to watch the movie or whatever. It kind of goes through, like all of them, goes through some of the scenes.
The menu screen.
The menu screen, yeah. It goes through some of the scenes of the movie, and it's got this ridiculous song playing in the background.
Awesome theme song that I want for my ringtone.
Yeah. And I was, after the movie, that kind of started running again, and I commented, like, if I were home alone and had just watched this movie, I can imagine
watch this for an hour.
Yeah, I could watch this. If someone didn't snap me out of it, I would just kind of stare at the screen and keep watching.
It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an extremely entertaining movie.
Well, the gist of the movie.
Yeah, let's try to decipher this as much as we can.
Yeah, if we can get a little bit of it. It does start off with him with absolutely no plot.
Running.
Yeah, running. That's it. He meets up with Colin and Pac and their group, and then somebody does tell him. So they do finally kind of get a little bit
a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, he has a talisman, and the wise man or leader, whatever from Kala's tribe says, I've seen that before, and there's a woman that wears it.
Yeah,
and she's worshipped as a goddess on the other side of the mountain.
Yep.
Okay, so
that becomes kind of what's going to happen.
Kind of
next.
A quest. Although it gets disrupted because the bad cavemen attack.
Yeah.
Slaughter the village, steal all the women.
Yeah.
And so then Pac and Yor have to go. Well, they escape with Kala.
Yeah.
Then they get jumped and Kala gets taken.
Yeah.
So they got to go back and they got to save her.
Because apparently only she is worth saving, not the entire rest of the village. All the other 20 women.
Yeah, it's like, you're on your own.
Yeah.
And then he gets because the medallion gets stolen.
Yeah.
And so he gets that and his axe back. And then he has them, I think it's before they get attacked.
Yeah.
They like get somewhere safe. And he's like, well, I'll be back. And they're like, well, where are you going? Yeah. And he doesn't say, but we can infer that he's going to look for the woman with the medallion like he has. And then after they do that, he does get to the woman, and she has like some weird guys dressed up like Arabian kind of with the turbans. No, not even really turbans, but just wraps and stuff.
It was it was somewhere between like a mummy
and a Tuscan Raider.
And maybe someone with leprosy or something.
So they go, and he's brought before her, and he's going to be sacrificed, and then he escapes.
Yeah.
And, of course, that puts one of many...
Oh, gosh. The best part of the movie, really.
Poor Kala.
Yeah, so Kala is sort of, the movie starts
She's the
out.
brunette.
She's one of a couple brunette, beautiful women in the movie that kind of become a love interest for Lore.
Well, pretty much anybody that passes in front of Yor becomes a love interest. I think Pac was hoping.
But she's the first, and you're like, oh, wow. And there, you see them, like, holding hands, and he's caring for her, and you're thinking, like, okay, she's going to be kind of Yor's wife.
Which is odd, because in these movies, usually it's the blonde. The brunette is usually the bad guy, or the frumpier one, I guess, if you could use that word. But he is blonde.
He's blonde, yeah.
So
Not naturally. It's clearly a wig.
It's really a wig. Really bad wig. So he finds this other woman, and of course she's blonde.
Yeah.
And she has the talisman, and she tells him, I don't remember where I'm from either.
Yeah.
Until she gets conked on the head a couple times.
Yeah.
And dies.
Yeah.
But she, of course, tells him, I came from an island, and, go there and you'll find her people.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So she does. So that competition is out for Kala. So then
there's like the constant theme of like Kala's fine. I mean, we're reading this into it, but Kala's fine. But like, oh, look at her.
Yeah.
And then she dies or something happens. Like, well, okay, hey Kala.
Yeah.
I guess you're good enough
I'm
for
back.
now.
Yeah. And because he does like totally groove on I can't remember her name.
I don't remember
the blonde woman. He totally grooves on her.
Yeah.
And they're making out and stuff. And of course, Kala finds her, and then they get in a fight. And it's not good. But then, as soon as she dies, then it's like, okay smooches.
Yeah.
He's back with Kala, and they're holding hands. Then they get to Hawaii, apparently.
Yeah, it looks like.
And he saves some people, and the guy goes, "Oh, this is my wife, and these are my kids. And because you saved my wife, here you go. You can have her." And he's like, whoa.
Yeah.
But then he kind of goes, oh, no, I couldn't do that.
He actually refuses that one. Although I think he kind of thinks about it maybe for a little bit.
I think so, but I think maybe there was because at one point when Kala's stewing about he and the blonde, Pat goes, well, he can have multiple wives, so that shouldn't be an issue. And she's like, well, screw that. But this woman is the guy's mate. He doesn't call her his wife, but the mate. But she also looks a lot younger, and so I'm wondering if maybe that was kind of
And that was the thing too, is part of it was I wasn't able to pay attention to everything at once because there's so much going on. But at first I was like, was that the guy's wife or his daughter? Because she looked young enough to be.
She looks like 16.
Yeah, she looked young enough to possibly be a daughter or maybe a really, really young wife.
But he said mate and my children.
Yeah.
So I guess.
Okay.
So then they give the trio a boat.
Yeah.
They go out. We get a Gilligan's Island scene.
Yeah. We were hoping they were gonna,
they would
land on shore and see the SS Minnow. Yeah.
And they meet with the future part now.
Yeah.
Of the story.
And then you're seeing like robots and really futuristic looking clothes, lasers.
Yeah. Yeah. And Yor finally starts coming around figuring out what's going on, because it turns out his talisman is kind of a recording device.
Yeah.
And they can read that and see, what's been going on, and see all sorts of scenes from the movie, where they shouldn't have, been able to. And then we find out that the world was nuked, that the people in white are trying to, they're the resistance.
Yeah.
And they're trying to fight against the evil overlord who's, he wants to take over. He says Kala is genetically perfect, which I don't know how I figured that out.
Yeah.
Because she's been living in the wasteland. He wants them to mate.
Yeah.
Her and Yor.
Yeah.
To mate. And then he made an android that can mate with people.
Yeah.
And he wants...
It was really confusing.
Really confusing.
It's almost like you're like going one direction and he's like, but then I want to do this.
Yeah,
so he like wants to replace all the people with robots or something.
Well,
right?
eventually, because he goes, I want to get rid of all the barbarians.
Yeah.
And repopulate the world with clean people, genetically pure people.
Yeah.
And then I've made this android that can mate with them, and so I want to destroy all the people.
Yeah.
And it's like,
so why not just replace all the people with
androids.
the androids anyway, if that's the end goal?
Yeah, and my head hurt after that.
Yeah, I know.
And basically, that's where all the hijinks ensue, and it ends like.
So you get kind of the beginning of the movie. You get sort of a prehistoric caveman type feel, and then you've got like a Hawaiian type feel, and then you get into this sort of like space,
futuristic part,
weapons and equipment and all that. So it's like I said, the cover of the I was mentioning earlier, the cover of at least one of the covers of the movie. You see and you see like I think a dinosaur, a spaceship, and it's just like they
like dinosaur UFOs and
and they threw everything in this movie. It's the
so
kids they love dinosaurs and man they sure love spaceships too. And
I really do think somebody sat and watched their kid play with their toys.
Yeah,
and was like, I can make a movie.
Let's
out of
make
this.
that. Yeah,
it writes itself. And it made no sense.
Yes, but it was really fun and
it
good.
was so much
and
fun.
I'll watch it over and over and over.
Yes, this is one of the Star Crash I can watch, but not a lot.
Star Crash is more like visually, like you're just like, what am I looking at? What are my eyes seeing?
Yeah, it just beats you up.
Yeah,
and this it just was really stupid but really fun. And you're just watching the whole time just going, this is so dumb, but it was fun. And part of that, I think I'll go into it after our break, but part of it has to do when it came out. So and well, on that note, why don't we go ahead and take our little break?
Good time.
And we'll
come right back.
Come right back after this wonderful serenade.
Yes.
Come right back. And welcome back.
Yes.
We hope you enjoyed that little musical interlude.
Yep.
In fact, we're going to talk about it a little bit here. That was one of the weirdest things I've ever heard in any movie.
Yeah. And there's a couple songs in it, but that's the one that really stands out. What I mean by a couple songs is like there's like actual like kind of rock songs
with adventure music and stuff like that.
But you can hear, you can tell it's a band with a singer singing, and then you start listening like, well, what are they singing? And you're like, it kind of sounds like someone singing in English, but not really. I can't actually pick out one word.
It sounds like somebody who English isn't their first language.
Yeah.
And they're singing a song.
Maybe phonetically it's written out for them, and they're like just making the noises, but they don't know.
Trying to do it, and it's coming out weird. And and the words we started just making up words.
Yeah. And we're pretty close.
And we're pretty close. In looking at, we looked up, we Googled, because the theme is Yours World.
Yours World, yeah.
And we Googled it, and we got two different sets of lyrics.
Yeah.
One that looks a little more likely, he's the man, lost in a world of past, an echo of ancient blast.
It actually makes sense with the movie.
It kind of tells the movie. The other one...
It basically sounds like us sitting there trying to write down what we think we're hearing.
Just writing down every word, and none of it makes any sense.
Yeah, like my favorite one that I remember right now is P is like a flower or something.
P is like a flower.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
So that's probably not really it. But if it was, that would make it even better.
That would be awesome.
But I'm pretty sure it's not.
But yeah, the lyrics, I don't even know if these are the actual lyrics that we've got here.
But it's more like
it goes along with the plot a lot.
It goes with the plot, so it could be.
And it doesn't help.
Yeah.
It doesn't help explain the movie, really.
No. But it's just basic statements like they say he will go on, his search goes on and on, he's forsaken the world. Just sort of like statements that could or could not relate to the movie, kind of depending on...
Yeah, depending on...
your take or whatever, So, the song is... when you watch this movie... There's a couple things you'll remember. One of them, at least a couple things you'll remember. One of them will definitely be the music, the song, this song in particular.
The other is going back to action figures.
When we were talking about action figures, and I said, we'll get back to this later, literally playing with your action figures, which is seemingly what they were doing in this movie.
Yeah. This was, of course, made in 83, made on, not a shoestring budget, but not huge. There was a lot of impressive practical effects, and then there were a couple that were less than impressive. The first was the flying the bat scene, the bat hang glider. When they're being attacked, when Yor and Peg and Kala are being attacked, Yor takes Pag's bow and arrow and shoots this
bat thing.
Yeah.
It basically looks like a little toy you might have when you're a kid.
Yeah. On the cover, they look like pteranodons, but it looked like somebody stapled wings to a teddy bear.
Yeah. He shoots it, and it just basically drops like as if you're dropping a toy to the ground.
He hits it right in the off switch, and boom, and bounces. And then he takes it and uses it as a hang glider.
Yeah.
To save the day.
Yeah.
And, of course, apparently rigor mortis set in pretty quick for the thing to, lock in. But as he's flying on it, he's coming in, they do a long shot.
Yeah.
And it looks like they just tied an action figure to a toy
and then put it on a string.
And
let it slide down.
Pretty much.
And then the close-up shot, of course, is Red Brown like kicking the bad guy or something.
Yeah.
But it's clearly an action figure in that scene.
And then the second time where she's actually the second and third time it's in the same scene.
Yeah.
There's a scene toward the end where Yor he has to swing across a chasm. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
And go over and plant a bomb to take out. It's a long story, but he's got to plant a bomb. Just go with it. And he didn't plan through the second half, which is his escape.
Yeah.
And he lets go of what he swings on is a control, like in a factory.
Yeah.
And they're on a long cord.
Cable thing,
A long cable. And it's like in Terminator 2.
Yeah.
When the Terminator puts himself into the molten lead, and they push the button on that and everything. That's the same thing. Swings across, but he lets it go, plants the bomb, and then it's like, I didn't think this through. So Pag goes, I'll save you.
Yeah.
And he swings across, and then I don't know how this part was done.
Yeah.
But he flips
upside down.
So then Yor can grab his hands and then he can come across. Well, when Yor swings across on his own at first, he very noticeably hit the legs of the action figure, hit the railing, and then it goes over to Yor.
To picture this, just imagine literally when you were a kid and you put one of your action figures on a string and had him fly across something and he hit something. That's exactly what it looked like, because that's exactly what it was.
I could recreate it right now.
Yes, we have action figures in this room.
We have quite a few to choose from.
Well, maybe 1,000.
Yeah, probably.
Do you know how many?
On my spreadsheet, I think there's probably about 1,300 to 1,500.
Wow. Okay.
So, there's a couple.
We can do that.
We have our choice. We can make our own. And then when Peg flies across or swings across, and he turns over, he grabs him by the hands, and then it looks like two action figures.
One of them really looks your one really looks like He-Man, or just something very similar to maybe an off.
Yeah, like a little old Remco, knockoff He-Man toy.
Yeah.
Because He-Man did come out.
Yeah.
In '82.
And this was
'83.
It came out a year later. So
but it didn't quite, because the points of articulation on a He-Man figure. Not to get off topic here, but they couldn't have done that. So it's more likely just like a model of some sort. But it looks very much like an action figure.
Yeah.
So those are the two weird, and you're just watching it and you're going, that looks like a toy on a string.
That is a toy. I've done that. I've done special effects that before.
Good. Yeah. And they weren't very special
and I was 5.
then.
So it's funny, but the funny thing is, I mean, you're watching you're not expecting it to look real. So it's so great that they literally just resorted to swinging action figures on strings.
By this point, we're watching a movie with Red Brown running around in a loincloth.
Yeah.
And a factory and shooting really awkward laser rifles.
Yeah, these things. They're like basically like boxes that kind of
They look like dustbusters.
Yeah,
like old dustbusters.
I don't know how you're supposed to aim them.
I don't know. They like tucked it under their arm and held it forward and then fired. And
somehow they hit things with that.
Somehow they,
And then you got these little like somewhere between Darth Vader and a stormtrooper looking robot things. They're all black.
Yeah, the helmet looked so much like a Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did you not get sued?
Yeah.
Well,
there's 20 different movies that should have got sued.
Yeah. Star Crash
at the time. Yeah. But yeah.
So yeah, it's very weird. But again, given the time it was made, they could have maybe done stop motion, but I don't know how you would have done it.
Yeah.
With that, I mean, Star Wars, they really swung across and they were just over a bunch of, mattresses.
Yeah, something where if they fell, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
I wonder in this, I haven't thought about this long. It just popped in my head right now. I wonder if with this, if they just maybe they tried it to be more realistic for a little bit, and they're just like, okay, screw this, action figures and a string.
I don't know. I think action figures and a string may have been their first choice. It may have been somebody going, we could try swinging. Like, no, we have action figures and string. We got this.
Maybe actually the title is Your Hunter from the Future, and then in parentheses, action figures on a string.
Figures not included.
Yeah.
The jingling you hear is our third co-host, Jack the dog.
Jack the dog.
Yes, he's.
Yep.
There you go. Okay, so yeah, those were a couple of very. The song itself, I seriously want that for a ringtone.
Yeah, me too.
It's just really that bad.
That will be my ringtone when you call me
other.
and mine when I call you. So
it'll work perfect.
It's like, please don't call me when it's going to be embarrassing.
Well, we have to do it like so. Then we if we go to a wedding or something like that, we can have it in the middle of church.
Yeah. Well, Jay's son Tim is getting married soon, so we could work that into it.
I think we need to get a hold of the DJ
yeah.
and slide this in.
Oh, man.
So I want to dedicate this to my son and his wife.
Yours, he's the man.
His pee is like a flower. He'll love it.
Yep.
Now, looking at when this movie came out, there's no way this movie could be made today.
Yeah.
And not go either direct to
video. It would be like, yeah.
It's not. I mean, the sci-fi movies the sci-fi channel movies, they make them intentionally bad now and intentionally cheesy effects.
Yeah.
This, I mean, it looks like they were trying, they really wanted to, but still it was, let's bang this out really quick.
Yeah, and they had nowadays on Sci-Fi Channel, bad computer generated special effects, but back then that wasn't an option.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it was this perfect time when movies like this could come out and get theatrical releases, because this was from Columbia.
Yeah.
This wasn't Golan Globus.
Yeah.
And it got a big release.
It made I think we looked at it was close to $3 million.
Which doesn't sound like much now.
But it was for a movie like this. I wish we knew the budget of the movie, but I'm sure it made its money back.
There's probably $4 in action figures.
Yeah.
Probably
paid Reb Brown. They just fed him lunch each day.
Pretty much. And the Triceratops.
Yeah.
That was pretty much.
But I wanted to say this one thing. This is totally not off topic, but out of sequence. But that Triceratops, that's what it was, right?
It was supposed to be.
It was about as intimidating as the sick Triceratops in Jurassic Park. Yeah, the one that's just laying there. That's about how vicious it was. Okay, sorry. I meant to say that earlier.
Yeah, it wasn't that good. But there were a lot of movies that, I mean, they're really bad, but they're so much fun that came out around that time. We were trying to think and looking. We had this. We had Buckaroo Banzai. We had Chud. We had Commando.
Yeah.
Killer Clowns.
Metal Storm.
Breakin' 2.
Yeah. I think somewhere we were reading just previous or right before we started the podcast, something like the target audience was like the 12 and under age range or something.
No, it was Variety. I think in the review was just
like,
just like, they better hope the 12 and under set embraces this for a couple weeks.
But they did.
Or because I think they said because nobody older is going to get this. And it's like, oh yeah, no, we get it.
We like it. Yeah.
And this was just the kind of fun stuff that was out then that you would go.
Yeah.
And since movies weren't that expensive,
yeah,
you could go and see these.
You make
things.
this, and you're going to make your money back plus some probably. And
yeah. And now everything is just overproduced and overdone,
hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, and it has to, it'll be considered. If they spend $100 million on it and it only makes 200, well, it was a flop.
Yeah.
And back then it was like, well, we spent $1 million on it. We made three. We tripled our,
Yeah. I'm rich.
Yeah, let's make another one. But they were just fun too. You could.
That was the point. They weren't trying to make a point, like a philosophical point or teach you this or that. Yeah, it was just, this is a lot of fun, and you're going to go to the movie theater and eat some candy and eat some popcorn.
Yeah.
Drink way too much soda and have a lot of fun, and you're going to go home.
And you're going to go home, get your action figures, and
do the same
make
thing.
your own story that's exactly like this.
Maybe even better.
Yeah. And it was just fun. I mean, I don't go out to movies as much as I used to.
Yeah, me either.
It's in part because it's people.
Yeah.
And people are obnoxious anymore. No, not our listeners though. Not you. All about 7 of you.
Well, let me count. There's me. There's you.
Yeah, and we're pretty good people.
Yeah.
So okay, we're good. But aside from that, there's just nothing really that. There are very few movies that I'm like, I need to see that on the big screen. The Star Wars ones, of course.
Has to be Star Wars, or what else do I see? I don't know.
When Pacific Rim came out, I said I want to see that one because it was giant stomping robots.
And that's almost
kind of like
it's
one of
the
these.
same. I mean, obviously it cost a lot more, but it's the same. Like, I got to see that type of feeling, right?
Yeah.
It's like I want to see some big robots fight.
And it's almost kind of like when you were a kid and you just take your Transformers, your Godzilla toys, and go,
and they fight each other. Yeah.
And fight each other.
Different universes. But that's fine.
And it was just fun. Now, about Pacific Rim, when I did see it on TV, I was like, I'm so glad I saw this in the theater.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's not that great of a movie. I mean, it's not bad. I liked it, but it's like, no, this one really needs to be seen on giant screen.
Big, yeah.
But that maybe some of the superhero movies, I haven't caught them all.
Yeah.
But there's a few that it's like, I'd like to see that on big screen. But other than that, I just wait for Netflix, and that's good enough for me. But back then, and your parents were trying to get rid of you anyways for a little bit, and it was like,
it's a
win-win. Go to a movie, So you go, you fill up, juice up on sugar, and watch Commando.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Which will be coming up.
I was going to say we got to do that.
We are doing Commando.
Just for no other reason, just because I really want to watch it now.
I know, I love Commando. It is one of my favorite movies. That says something right there.
Yeah.
So, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Okay.
Good.
I mean, I'm not trying to say this is like a masterpiece of cinema, but everything's good. It did what it was intended to do. It's really entertaining. And that's what it does. And it still does.
And it's fun. It was just fun watching, even though you can't follow it.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is just fun.
It's even better that I couldn't follow it. I mean, if it made perfect sense, it probably wouldn't be quite as fun.
Yeah. And we were talking about comparing it with Star Crash.
Yeah.
And Star Crash is so convoluted.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's fun, but it's brutal.
It's almost more Star Crash is more fun for your eyeballs.
Yeah.
Just like what did they do there? Why are they doing that?
Yeah. How did they do that?
Yeah.
How did they use the light brights to make the theater, make the stars? This, it just was fun.
Yeah.
And you watch it and it's goofy and you enjoy it. So yay, good.
Good.
Bad. Well, there were quite a few scenes where Red Brown's loincloth flipped up.
Yeah.
And we got to see his thong, which I never, ever wanted to see.
I know. And I was thinking, like, this is rated PG, right?
Thankfully, he was not built like the guy in Halloween 3.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Because we never needed to see that.
Nope.
But, I mean, the bad stuff is...
You could, for the same part, if from a different perspective, you could say it was all bad because the acting was horrible, the action figures are stupid. But But that's just if you're
being critical,
you wouldn't be watching this movie anyway.
Yeah, if you're just wanting to be critical, well, then yeah, the story's bad, the special effects are bad.
Yeah,
the
music's bad.
Everything's bad about it. But if you're just watching it for kicks and because you enjoy, again, I don't know if we mentioned this in the first episode.
Yeah,
but we don't hate these movies.
Yeah,
most of them.
We wouldn't. Yeah, there's a few, but we wouldn't spend this much time on them if we didn't like them.
Yeah,
because I got better things to do with my life.
Yeah,
if this wasn't fun.
So it's just there really is no bad for me.
Yeah,
ugly.
Yeah, Peg.
Peg was not a looker.
And then the loincloth thing. That's kind of ugly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think this just goes back to the same thing with bad. There just wasn't anything.
Yeah.
There's nothing egregious.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
It's just. Yeah.
I don't think I can emphasize that enough. It's just fun, and you go and you watch it, and it's just
Yeah.
You just are entertained.
Yeah.
So, final thoughts. Worth watching?
I think. Obviously we've already answered. It's definitely worth watching.
Yes.
In fact, as we were talking, I'm not in the mood to watch another movie tonight before I go to sleep because I go to sleep like an old man at like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But if I had to watch another movie tonight, I probably would just watch Your again.
I don't know about watching Your. This made me want to watch. What was it I was saying? I can't remember now. But I would throw in Commando or Bucker Banzai or something like that.
This makes you think of all those other movies, similar movies. That you just want to sit there and
just throw something fun in.
Yeah.
Even Conan, even though I don't think that's a bad movie, I'd throw Conan in just for fun.
So this is great. I mean, again, these are B movies. We like them. We're not here to criticize them, except for in a fun way sometimes.
Yeah. Well, until we get to Mac and Me.
Mac and Me,
But yeah, I think it's worth watching. I think it's worth watching multiple times. I mean, I know some of them we've said, it's worth watching just so you can check.
You can say
check the box.
Yeah, I watched so and so, and all I got was a stupid shirt type of thing. But
but this one, you watch it. It's fun, and it's fun to watch multiple times.
Yeah.
So
I own it on Blu-ray, and I will. Yeah, it's already.
You bought it before you pre-ordered it.
I pre-ordered it because it literally cost less than it on DVD, which I don't understand how that works. But I'm like, I can buy it on DVD, or I can wait a month and have it on Blu-ray. So
I think somebody said, "Yeah, we can. We're not going to make much off these. So just get them. We got a warehouse full of these.
Yeah.
Let's get them out." So
yeah.
So there you have it. You're the hunter from the future, which he really wasn't from the future.
Yeah. Future technology. But
there you go.
Yeah.
So, where can you find us at?
Where can you find us?
Us.
Right here.
Well, besides right here. I don't want other people finding us right here.
What's your address? No, just kidding.
Give them yours first.
You can find us on YouTube, which you already have if you're listening to this right now.
You probably have found us.
Just go to YouTube. The easiest way is to go to YouTube and search for Valley Lodge Productions. In there, you'll find...
Which would be our little place on the tube.
Yeah. And in there, as of now, you'll find the bomb shelter, maybe more content coming soon. But for now, you'll find that. If you would like to get in contact with us, email us. You can always comment on a video, but you could also email us at valleydodgeproductions@gmail.com.
There you go.
Yeah.
And we look forward to hearing from anybody.
Please.
Comments. Constructive criticism.
Yeah.
Because we're getting better at this.
Yeah.
And suggestions. If you all can think of anything and we can find it.
Yeah.
Usually, like Kevin said, this is available on Blu-ray. I would imagine maybe you could find it on YouTube somewhere.
I think it is on YouTube because I almost was going to watch a little bit of it the other day before I got it. But yeah, I think it's on YouTube right now.
So you can find us.
Yeah.
We're there. But that's it.
Yep.
Thanks for listening, and until next time.
He's the man.
And his pee is like a flower.
Yep.
Bye.